So Christopher Nkunku's injury record obviously has to be factored into any potential deal. He was out for pretty much all of last season, but I'm not a medical expert, so I'm not in a position to give a full assessment. However, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how I would set up any potential deal in order to mitigate as much risk as possible for United. But for the moment, factor out injuries, and I genuinely think Nkunku could be the perfect forward for Ruben Amorim's system. And you'll see exactly why once I show you his FBref reports, as well as tactically analyse how he would fit into Amorim's system. However, let me first analyse what type of player Nkunku is and what his best attributes are. Well, I'd describe Nkunku's best role as a second striker, someone who primarily is going to float between the lines of the opposition system, operating in central areas but looking to make sharp movements ahead of a centre forward's deeper movement into the space created at the centre of the opposition's back line. Now, despite being a player who primarily wants to operate centrally, given that he came through at PSG as a winger, he has a lot of winger-like attributes, having a great change of pace over short and longer distances, very astute ball manipulation in congested areas, as well as having similar sort of capabilities in terms of short and quick interplay to Jadon Sancho. But unlike Sancho, Nkunku in my opinion has the athleticism and the physicality to thrive in Amorim's front three, because of how varied his skill set is, which I'll come on to in just a second. However, despite being categorised as an attacking midfielder by many, I think his goal scoring ability makes him more of a forward, as he has fantastic awareness of where the space is and he's very good at timing his movements in behind the back line, whilst also having the pace to run away from defenders into 1v1 positions, and once in that position, he is very composed, having a variety of different finishes, with his trademark being a subtle dinked finish all round in the goalkeeper, deliberately choosing to take an extra touch in order to entice the goalkeeper forward to allow him to perform one of these two finishes, rather than looking to take the shot early. Inside of the box, he's a threat from multiple different types of situations, including aerially, with his goals for Leipzig against Manchester City during the 22-23 Champions League season, showcasing how despite not being the biggest physical presence, standing at around 5'10", he's very good at redirecting headers with the necessary power and placement past the keeper. And I actually think if you bring him into the United side, he is probably our biggest aerial threat of any of our forwards. And once I show you his FBref reports, you'll see just how productive Nkunku is from a pure output point of view. But before I come on to that, a quick reminder, I do have an Instagram group chat where I do in-game analysis for all the Manchester United games, and I will start doing it for other big fixtures as well. You can share your thoughts during the game, after the game, ask me questions for Q&As, and share any of your football or general social media related work as well. But if you just want to watch some of my unreleased tactical videos or articles, you can sign up for just $1.50 a month. I'll leave it linked in the description, comment section, the eye above and on the end screen after the video. Your support would be very much appreciated. So in the last 365 days, in just over 600 minutes that he's played, when compared against every other forward in Europe's top 5 leagues, Nkunku ranks in the 84th percentile for his non-penalty goals and the 94th for his non-penalty XG, whilst also hitting his non-penalty XG of 0.6 per 90 exactly. But what you can also see is that when compared against other forwards, his XG only ranks in the 20th percentile, which further proves my point that Nkunku should be categorised more as a goal-scoring forward like Rashford, rather than a creative attacking midfielder like Sancho, Ahmad or even Bruno Fernandes. And despite his limited amount of minutes, this isn't a fluke due to the low amount of minutes he has played, as in the 2022-23 Bundesliga season, he also ranked in the 96th percentile for both his non-penalty goals and his non-penalty XG, which he overperformed by 0.08 per 90, and the season before he also overperformed his non-penalty XG, ranking around the 90th percentile for both his non-penalty goals and his non-penalty XG. Now I would expect him to significantly improve his creative output at Manchester United from what we've seen at Chelsea, as in the 22-23 Bundesliga season, he ranked in the 83rd percentile for his XG assisted, and in the 21-22 season that was a 95th percentile. But it's not just that, just by glancing through the passing section of both his 22-23 and his 21-22 Bundesliga seasons, as well as just from the eye test as well, you can see not only did he rank incredibly highly for his pass volume and completion rates, certainly in 22-23, but across both seasons he was also ranking around the 90th percentile for most of his progressive passing metrics, showing that Nkunku isn't just a goal scorer, he also has a technique and vision to be a significant ball progression threat via his quick 1 and 2 touch passing, as well as his progressive passes into dangerous positions, which is similar to what we saw Sancho producing at Dortmund. For an attacking midfielder, his progressive passing is top draw, but for a forward, it's truly up there with the best in world football. when he's fit of course. When it comes to his dribbling and his ball carrying, I certainly wouldn't describe him as a 1v1 specialist, but someone who excels at receiving the ball between the lines and driving into the space, as well as using trickery to float past oncoming players, and the possession section of his FB ref report from his 22-23 and 21-22 Bundesliga seasons shows that his take on ball carrying output was up there with some of the best forwards in the league. 23 goals and 9 assists in 36 games in 22-23 and 35 goals and 20 assists in 52 games in 21-22 shows that Nkunku can put up substantial goal scoring and creative numbers over the course of a full season. However, he has to be used in the right role, with the right players around him. Sticking him on the left of Ten Hag's 4-2-4, holding a wide position in possession, is not going to get the best out of him, but using Nkunku as one of the two attackers, either side of a deeper lying false 9 like Xerxes, whose deeper movement is going to drag centre-backs out of the back line and open up space for Nkunku to dart into from a central position, is the perfect setup to get the best out of the Frenchman. Now, before I break down how Nkunku would thrive in Amorim's system from a tactical point of view, let me just go over how I would structure any potential deal in January in order to mitigate as much risk as possible. So I think initially it has to be a loan, but not with an obligation to buy. And whilst many clubs would probably insist on including an obligation to buy because of Nkunku's profile and how much he cost, because Nkunku will still have 4 years left on his Chelsea deal come the summer, is only 26 years old and really hasn't been playing consistently since his time at RB Leipzig. Chelsea may understand that if they include an obligation to buy in January, it's going to have to be substantially lower than the £52 million they agreed to pay for him around 2 years ago, and so like with Jadon Sancho, the fee agreed would have to be significantly lower. However, by sending him out on loan for half a season, assuming that he does well of course, his value will increase, giving them a substantially better chance of recouping the money that they paid for him come the summer. United will have to pay his £195,000 a week salary, which works out to be around £5 million for the second half of the season, as well as a loan fee of around £5 to £6 million on top. But considering that we managed to move Jadon Sancho's £13 million a season salary off of the wage books in the summer, as well as players like Xerxes, Casemiro and Eriksen potentially leaving in January as well, I think financially the deal is worth doing for United, because it's only a loan initially, maybe with an option to buy, which would have to be higher than an obligation to buy clause, probably around £40 to £45 million, but it would be significantly less of a risk. And the reason I think it's a risk worth taking is because Nkunku has been fit for all of this season so far, and he would fit in perfectly in Amorim's front three from a tactical point of view, and this is how. So in the front three, I think Nkunku could work incredibly well with Joshua Xerxes, as Nkunku thrives when starting in the half space between the lines and then making a third man run into the space between the opposition's fullback and centre back in behind the back line. However, he needs to play alongside a centre forward who is going to create that space for him, and Xerxes holding a higher position alongside the centre backs and then dropping off looking to receive the ball to feet is going to open up that space, from where if United can find a line breaking pass from deep into Xerxes' feet, and then from here a coordinated pattern of play that I think would work very well from here would be the pass into Xerxes with his back to goal and the centre back on his back being used as a trigger for Nkunku to start a darting movement ahead of Xerxes' deeper movement, from where Xerxes can then look to play what is essentially a wall pass bounced into either Ahmad or Bruno, playing in the opposite half space to Nkunku, from where they can then look to thread the pass in behind, releasing Nkunku, who has the pace to be able to race through and get into a 1v1 position. And so like Rashford and Garnacho, I think Nkunku could offer necessary pace and movement in behind the back line to Amorim's front three, particularly when it's Xerxes who is being used as a centre forward, with Ahmad, Bruno and even Mason Mount not being as effective from this type of situation. Also in the final third, I think Nkunku could be a real goal scoring threat, via making late runs into the box from deeper positions. In this example, United have the ball on the right side, and if you are using Xerxes as a centre forward, because his link play in congested areas is so good, I don't think it's optimal to have him sitting in the centre, being the player to actually receive the goal scoring opportunity. Instead, you want to give him the freedom to be able to roam over into the channel, which will not only create more passing options, but will also drag a centre back further over over to United's right side, therefore creating more space in the centre, with Nkunku and the left wing back, Alvaro Fernandez for example, being the players looking to attack the box from the far side. If United can create coordinated patterns of play via third man runs, maybe with Dalot, the right sided centre back for example, being the player to break forward ahead of Mazraoui and Xerxes with his deeper starting position, making his movement harder to track for the opposition, and then Xerxes can be used as a player to bounce a pass from Mazraoui, finding Dalot's third man run, looking to release him into a crossing position from where Nkunku can be United's main threat, attacking the box from a deeper position where it's hard for either the centre backs or the central midfielders to pick him up. However, the reason I like the idea of bringing in Nkunku so much is because of the versatility that he would bring to the front three. Currently, I don't think that any of Manchester United's forwards, attacking midfielders or wingers could comfortably be used in all three positions in the front line. However, Nkunku certainly could. If Xerxes was to be moved on permanently or on loan in January, I think Nkunku could come in and play the false nine role very well, especially with Rashford or Garnacho alongside him. If United are looking to break down a compact defensive unit in the middle third, if Nkunku is starting as the centre forward, with Rashford and say Ahmad either side, rather than Rashford being the player looking to receive the ball between the lines, when United shift the ball over to the left side, Rashford could look to create the space in the half space by spinning in behind the centre back as he pushes out onto him, making a curved run into the space created by the opposition's right back, moving out into a wider and higher position, looking to close down Alvaro Fernandez in that deeper position on the flank. By dragging the centre back deeper, this will then open up the space for Nkunku to drop into, which in turn will cause the other centre back an issue. If he holds his position in the back line, Nkunku can now receive the ball and turn before driving forward directly at the back line. But if the centre back looks to follow Nkunku's deeper movement, looking to stop this from happening, then this opens up the opportunity for Ahmad to make a darting run from the half space on the other side between the opposition's left back and left sided centre back. If Nkunku can then receive the ball with the centre back on his back, he can then either look to turn the defender and thread a through ball for Rashford in behind, or look to bounce a ball off for one of the oncoming midfield double pivot, who can then look to find Ahmad's run from a central position, looking to release him into a 1v1. So overall, if we could get Nkunku on a loan deal with an option to buy, not an obligation to buy, and the finances made sense and he also passed a medical, then he'd definitely be someone I'd look to bring in January, just because I think he can offer so much to Amorim's front three. So let me know what you think of Nkunku in the comment section. You can sign up to the in-game analysis group chat. I'll leave the Patreon linked in the description below, on the end screen, the eye above, and in the comment section as well.